Well, thank you, Wang Ling, and thank you for the presentation. It's true, is that, let me ask you one question, because now I have the same kind of thing that Wang Ling is always asking a question. Who was here 10 years ago? Oh, it's not bad. So you will see in my presentation some of the elements, and even using some of the charts that I presented you 10 years ago. My presentation is very much on the subject of the Nestlé Nutrition Journey, is to give you a quick historical perspective, which will lead us with the recent developments in the business and what we are doing specifically in the area of infant nutrition now. I will cover Nestlé Health Science afterwards, in our journey towards nutrition, health, and wellness, which today you know is the strategic direction of this company. And also, I would like to concentrate my presentation in the two key developments that has been done as a consequence of our decision to move forward, which is basically the reinforcement on the business of infant nutrition, which we were dedicated this morning. And then, of course, in the afternoon, to give you a sense of the exciting adventure for one company that I think has never been done before, to create a new space on the medical field between food and pharma when it comes to expanding what we call the boundaries of nutrition, which I will going to cover this afternoon. So if we start, this is a journey that I'm going to concentrate in 30 minutes about around 15 years of history of this company. And basically what you see is that the company already, and this 1997, when Peter Brabeck was nominated CEO, one of the first things he did is he created this Nutrition Strategic Business Division, which he put under his own leadership, an idea that nutrition is going to be the key driver of this company in these two facets, in the facets of a strategic direction and reinforcing the business. I joined the center in my second time, as Wang Ling was saying before. I was managing the coffee marketing worldwide in a given moment, but then I came here to run the strategic business division and arrived in 2001. And this was the year, around that year, that I started working closely with Peter and with management in crafting what will be the vision of nutrition, health, and wellness in the company. And some of you might remember this phrase, which was presented in the blueprint. You know that in Nestle we have the blueprint. It's a kind of the document that CEO establishes every 2-3 years, which basically sets us apart, decided which is the roadmap. Paul has converted the blueprint in a roadmap, and I know that you are very much aware of that, and I'm convinced he's going also to talk to you over these 2 days. That was the first decision. The first movement is to say we're going to evolve and then to give this a new dimension of the company from a food company to a nutrition, health, and wellness company. In 2000, this, for you guys that were here 10 years ago, you might remember, these two charts were presented by me exactly at that moment in an investor presentation. This is when we present to you what we call that the nutrition journey started around that moment in time. And we basically, at that moment in Nestle, we did two things. We talk about the concept of nutrition, health, and wellness. We said that we're going to put this in any of the SBUs, in any of the businesses. We mentioned to you, we are going to engage nutrition champions in the SBUs. This is the moment where we start talking about the 60-40 plus concept, This was the moment that we talk about starting to think about cross-fertilization initiatives in the company. And since then, I think a lot of things has happened. This was the start of that. And I was privileged to be the person that was pushing this initiative around all the company. At that moment was also another hat that I had, which was basically is pushing the agenda of nutrition, health, and wellness throughout the company. The other thing, and this is what we're going to concentrate today, is that we talk about an important business, a business that at that moment was around 5 billion, which was what we call the Nestlé Nutrition business, which was comprised at that moment in time for three businesses: a small healthcare nutrition business, a business on the area of performance nutrition, with the acquisition of Power Bar that happened before my arrival in 2000. It was acquired, and then of course the big infant nutrition business, which I'm going to concentrate to give some flair of that. The other interesting thing that I could now share with you, this is also an internal chart. This was my presentation in 2004, when discussing specifically about Nestlé Nutrition. I went to see the Nestlé board. I think that we should be able to increase and to basically double the importance of the nutrition business in this company. And this is exactly the chart that I presented at the moment in time, and it's exactly a copycat of the chart that is in the archives. It's in my archives as part of the presentation of that. Of course, you can say that the figures is more about the doubling the business, because the figures were NPS, were not NNS, so we have changed the accounting information. And of course, this was done when the Swiss franc was in a different situation than today. So you might say that probably this figure of 10 billion today should be more equivalent to 15 billion of that moment in time. The other thing that we did is that throughout this journey, we said that already the model of nutrition is a model that, to what extent, is exactly hybrid in the organization. And the main point we were saying is that if we like to be successful in nutrition, innovation and time horizon is key for that. And this company was more geared probably to develop products in the context of a more yearly basis, because this is basically what the food industry will do. We saw the need to change some of the organization model, and some of you have heard to say to me that strategy leads a structure and not a structure leads a strategy. As a consequence of that, as a consequence of a thorough investigation and a thorough analysis internally, we came to the conclusion, if we like to double this business, if we like to be serious in nutrition, and this is the spearhead of nutrition, health, and wellness, we need to organize things differently. And what happened is that around in mid-2005, we communicate that we're going to create a new global managed business. At that moment, the only one was basically Waters, which came out of acquisitions. So we're going to basically to take some initiatives and then to move the organization towards having more driver on the area of nutrition, health and wellness, but specifically in this area, creating a global managed business called Nestlé Nutrition. And the chart I have just introduced to you, this is exactly another exact chart that we will be using internally to basically to paraphrase and to illustrate the need of that. So that's the second thing we did. This is around 2005. Then the global business as nutrition went live in 2006. This was the moment that I was already running Europe. And then at that moment in time, I left this, and as you know, I came back to my old passion in 2010 with the creation, 2011 with Nestlé Health Science. So that was the same thing that we did. So we create a Nestlé Nutrition global business comprised by 3 units: infant nutrition, healthcare nutrition at that moment in time, which was a small business that came as the, we created a joint venture many years ago with Baxter called Cleantech. Out of Cleantech, we had a nutrition business, health nutrition business. The GV was dissolved after 5 years, and then we took over this business and we kept it with us. And this was kind of the embryo of entering in the area of healthcare, and here was already one key initiative. The other thing we did is we start deciding is how we're going to grow this business. In 2006-07, We bought Jenny Craig, a business that it was in weight management, with the idea to see how could we enhance the nutrition value in people that need a specific nutrition needs in this personalized way. This is a business that so far has been doing well this last year. Suddenly the situation in the crisis in the US and also the model has been changed, and we are, as you know today, evaluating the strategic options because this business is not delivering in 2013 what it should, and we need to make decisions about how to engage the conversation in this area. The other important things is that around 2007, mid-2007, we did what I call the most important thing, is what two transformational acquisitions. One was that we bought the Novartis medical nutrition business in the area of healthcare, and the other one was that we bought Gerber. Both this was a real transforming in the sense that the healthcare nutrition business of Novartis combined with the business that we had gave us a key position, not only critical mass, they gave us resources, they gave us knowledge, they gave us pipeline, and also they gave us people that today are basically at the helm of this organization within Nestle Health Science, and it gave us a stronger number 2 position in the area of this medical nutrition business. At the same time, in September, we bought Gerber, which gave us a key position in US. In US, we have been always in infant nutrition. We were not very strong. We only had a presence in infant formula, but baby food was an area that we didn't have any position. By the acquisition of Gerber, we put this in a great position, not only in the US, but also worldwide, with a portfolio of products that is even today unmatched in terms of addressing the needs of the 1,000 dates that I'm going to cover in a minute. As a consequence of that, another important point was at the end of 2010. So around 3 years later of the acquisition and the integration, what we made another important movement, some of you remember that, is that we announced this in Lausanne in the APFL. It was the spin-off of the healthcare nutrition business, this 1.8 billion, and to create a new company. This time it was not a global business, it's a new company in order to be the pioneer in working in a new space, basically in the chronic medical conditions area. This was the creation of Nestle Health Science, and what we did is we extract the business which we had in Nestle Nutrition called healthcare, which is what's clear that the model is more a medical model in a way, and then we move this to a new company that I set up in beginning of 2011, and I'm going to give you some color this afternoon when we talk about that. What you see here is basically that it was not only the creation of a company, but also the creation of a new research unit called the Nestle Institute of Health Science, which we commit publicly that we're going to put more than $500 million Swiss francs in the next 5 to 10 years, and I will also give a sense of where we are on that. It was important also to the sense to demonstrate that the commitment of this company is very much a science-based nutrition commitment, and the need of a new research unit that is going to work in a new space was really needed, as basically our research and development network, which is unique in the world, it was very much concentrating on supporting existing boundaries of nutrition. If we like to create new things, you need new capabilities, you need new people. There is new technologies going there. There are all these omics, genomics, epigenetics, all these kind of things that today is going to really change the future of science. And we decided to invest big time on that, and that's the Institute of Health Science. So what happened is that post-2010, basically Nestlé Nutrition was very much weighted towards infant nutrition. This is what you have today, is around 90-something, and if you add even today Wyeth, we will be around 95% is the basically the strength of Nestlé Nutrition. And we're going to concentrate with you guys to talk about specifically the importance of infant nutrition and how Nestlé is tackling this avenue with the different movements that we have done. The other important point in the history is that we decided that the concept of Nestle Infant Nutrition. And let me just, and I'm not going to explain this too much because Heiko Schipper is going to give you more sense of what do we mean about that. But we said the key concept behind infant nutrition is the need to driving the first 1,000 days of the life of a baby. And the first 1,000 days, it starts what we call even at -9, because it starts at conception of the baby. How do you need to take care of the mother and the relationship between the nutrition of the mother and nutrition of the baby, and then go forward till what we call is the 2-3 years of age, where the baby starts to change. And this has even been recognized by the different bodies, not only by the WHO, but also by the Codex Alimentarius, which many, many years ago already set up, that the rules and the way that you need to manage the nutrition perspective on that is different from the rest of the nutrition of a normal person. And I'm not going to give you a perspective, but you need to understand that in the life of a baby, you know, the brain multiplies by 3, I think, in 1 year. That today everyone talks about microbiota, that you have a new organism, the biggest immune system in your body with more than 1,000 trillion cells with bacteria. This is key. Well, this is basically formatted in the first year and a half of a baby. So you think the importance of the babies in 1 year, they're able to recognize 900 words, which is really marvelous. And all this today, we know that nutrition has a key role to play in order to make sure that the life of a baby is managed in a let's say, balanced way. And these first 1,000 days, as I mentioned, is in Nestle covered by 3 things. It is covered by products. We are uniquely positioned because we are the only company that is able to give you a sense of a perspective between prenatal nutrition for the mother, going with breastfeeding, and then with supplements of baby milks, till cereals, till baby food, and even beyond that with preschool milks already to give the sense of preparing the baby and the kid for the future life. This is not only based on science products with proven health benefits, and we're going to talk about that. It's also coupled with another 2 important things. It's 2 big education initiatives that we have been setting apart in the last years. One is the Nestlé Nutrition Institute. It's the biggest nonprofit organization sponsored by Nestle that contacts the bigger number of healthcare professionals in the world. We have a website that covers, Heiko, is about 900,000 contacts per year with healthcare professionals, all within the boundaries and the rules that we have agreed, either for FTSE for Good and also for the WHO code. So basically in line with the principles of the connection and the discussion that we have with them. Is an educational tool. We have workshops every year. And this is today a reference point. If you talk to healthcare professionals, they will tell you that there are not many organizations like that give them publications. Just that you know, we have been published a book called Annales Nestlé that started 70 years ago. We have the biggest publication in the history of any that is about nutrition and nutrition for infants and for babies. And if you go to any university in the world, you will find always those books of Annales Nestlé in any public library also. And the other thing is that this more recent is that we have decided that in order to make the first 1,000 days is not only to have the products, it's not only to have the science, it's not only to educate healthcare professionals and to talk to them and learn from them, it's also to develop a nutrition education program for parents, which we call the Start Healthy, Stay Healthy, and also Heiko is going to give you a sense of that. So since 2007, which was already the integration of these 2 big acquisitions, in infant nutrition, in particular the Gerber one, what you see here is, and these figures do not include Wyeth yet, because we have not talked about them yet, you have seen how over these years, both the baby food part, which is the cereals and the meals and drinks, as we define in Nestle, the jars and the cereals were growing around 6% over these years, and then how the infant formula business had to be basically double-digit organic growth since 2007. The columns, basically, this represents the value in Swiss francs. This will represent the value in Swiss francs if we had basically in constant currencies since we have started this comparison. Then another important decision that we took is that last year, in 2012, we conclude the acquisition of the Wyeth Nutrition, the biggest acquisition ever done by Nestle after the Purina one that we did in 2001. And this basically has consolidated our journey. And I think we could say that we're pretty done in this area, as we today have geographically, strategically, and even from a product benefits point of view, an unmatched organization. The acquisition of Wyeth, and this is what was called at that moment Pfizer Nutrition. The first thing we did, and when we got that, is we recuperate the number of Wyeth. I remember I was in China. I was in China with John. He's going to talk to you. And I was impressed because I was in China the day one. So I arrived to nutrition around the end of October, beginning of November. And the acquisition was basically closed the 1st of December, if I remember well. The 1st of December, I flew to Philippines and to Shanghai in the same day, which was a crazy thing to do, but in order to be in both days at the same time. And one thing I was impressed is that day, in all the Nestle, in all the Wyeth business, the sign of Wyeth Nutrition was back. In the factories, in even in the kind of, when you go this kind of dressing, everyone was there. And basically the comment is that I mentioned to her is welcome home. And I think something that Bill and Jory is going to give you. But I was impressed about, first of all, how proud they were of what they have done and how proud they were about the Wyeth name. So it's coming back to that. The acquisition of Wyeth basically covers 3 key areas. As I think Wang Ling has said this to you, it was a strategic acquisition because this gives the opportunity to be category leader, but not only category leader in numbers, category leaders in innovation, in product development, and also in geographical span and in product benefits. We are basically focusing on value-added categories, which is an area that Nestle needs to complement. Nestle was very good in the mainstream area of infant formula. We need to compensate this, and that's one of the reasons by which we have been pushing for that. Strong brands in leadership positions. Cultural is very important, and that's what I was saying. When I was there and I was discussing with them, I feel that these guys, they have the same values, principles, and obsession about babies and nutrition that we had. And I think it was very good because a lot of acquisitions failed, not because of strategic, not because numbers, but because cultural, let's say, kind of combination. I can tell you that for me, and you can ask these guys, they will tell you probably the same thing. This was a high degree of certainty that is going to be a very successful integration and embedding as I'm talking today. And then financially, because it generates value for the shareholders, it generates added value in terms of top line cash and cash flow enhancing, and it gave also to maintain, and this was very well negotiated by Wang Ling and by the team in terms of our credit ratings and financial flexibility. Also geographically, as I mentioned, it gives us a position, in a very good position in Asia. 80% of the births happens in Asia, and this is also very important that you know that this is an area that we like to reinforce. From a product point of view, from a benefit point of view, Wyeth is very complementary to Nestlé Nutrition. This was another exciting point for us, and this is the fact that if you see Nestlé Nutrition over the years, and basically since 2001 and 2003, when we were starting this journey, we were much reinforcing projects in the area of allergy, immune protection, and gut comfort in different products. Wyeth gave us good development in areas that Nestle was not strong or was just starting to develop new initiatives. This is something that is coming to us and is going to give you it's going to give us basically a strength from any entry point in any consumer and kid benefit in the area of nutrition. Where are we today? The Wyeth Nutrition is well on track. And I like to say that we talk about integration, but you're going to see that I use basically 2 words. In some areas, we are integrating wires, where they are basically in back office. In others, we are embedding that. And this is basically in innovation, in marketing, in branding, and in route to market. And the concept of embedding is different. The idea here, and my colleagues will talk to you about that, is that we like to keep the good things that this company is providing us in order not to lose and to be able to compete even more smartly on the marketplace. And the concept for me has been always that any acquisition, if it is good, should always beat mathematics. And mathematics mean that 1 + 1 is 3. That's the concept of the acquisition, and that's where we'll try to retain. And this has been one of my priorities, and I have kept, with the nomination of Heiko as responsible for infant nutrition, I have kept Wyatt with me in order to make sure that the company understands that integration is one thing and embedding is another thing. And we need to do both at the same time, and I think that's what Nestle is also good at, managing the diversity and different concepts at the same time. The implementation of GLOBE in the systems in factories, so we have been reducing the TSA agreement that we have with Pfizer. This also has a good benefit, and also in our numbers. The key talent has been retained. The synergies that we already established when we bought are on track, and the acquisition plan, both on bottom line and on top line, is today on target. So at the end of the day, what you have is a journey over many years of consistency, clarity, stubbornness, and focus on making this story a great story. And all these elements of defining, integrating without disrupting innovation. And I think this chart, at least this chart for us internally, is impressive. Because since 2004, we have been creating new projects. And this is the code name that we had in this project. I started this bullet even before we create Nestlé Nutrition. We have been adding 450 million of sales in the category with brands like Nan, Vevey, Good Start, Nidal, and this is strengthening the immune system. This project was bullet. Then in 2007, we add for cesarean babies a new initiative, a project called Caesar, that basically was the adding probiotics in the first stage of infant formula, has added since then 250 million. In 2009, in cereals, we renovate the cereals by introducing probiotics in all cereals. This is what's called Satellite. Happy is what Wang Ling was referring to, basically in brands like Lactogen, and I know Heiko is going to cover that in a minute. We introduced a new strain of probiotics coming with an agreement with an outsider company here in Europe, and this has given us also a dominated area in this area of gut comfort, basically helping mothers to deal with babies that have colics and how they suffer when the baby cries, how you're going to improve the quality of the basically what's going on in the stomach and in the body of the baby to better manage these colics, which is a key area of stress for a young mother today. And the last thing that, and this has already added, as you have seen, around 420 million already in sales till 2010, so this is also a big improvement in terms of initiative. And the last thing that we have done is we launched in 2012 a new initiative called Baby Nest. This is a advanced nutrition system that we have launched in France and Switzerland, and that we are already having plans to expand this outside of these two countries. So doing a vision, making the vision happen, but at the same time delivering good results. So you see the evolution from a vision to strategy and commitment and to value and leadership. And also value is important because in infant nutrition, we have been creating value over the many years. You have seen the infant formula side. What you have seen is the average organic growth since 2007, if you combine both, is this 8.5%. And you know that our margins are above the average group in these two categories. So it's good enhancing value for us in the company and for the shareholders. And this has been also coupled with improvement in market shares. Of course, this market share is a consequence of acquisition, but also the consequence, basically, in a lot of markets today, of organic development of the original initiatives that we had. And this is the figures that you can see between infant formula and also baby food. So, in summary, my message is that this Nestlé Nutrition Journey, I think, is a great example of commitment, is a great example of vision, stubbornness, good execution, good strategy execution, adapting the structure to this new strategy, and a journey to create value and leadership for mothers, for us, and for all the stakeholders and the shareholders. That's a very good example of creating shared value as we have defined our way of doing business over the future. So creating Nestlé Nutrition Health and Wellness dimension, creating a Nestlé Nutrition company, pleasing consumers by offering nutritional solutions to specific needs, generating value for shareholders, winning with Wyeth Nutrition in this concept of 1 + 1 = 3. And the point that is not said here is, thanks to the creation of Nestlé Nutrition in 2003, we will be able to spin off and to create Nestlé Health Science. Without the exercise of creating a Nestlé Nutrition organization, we have never been able to make the courage to make this decision and investing in new area. That's also as a consequence. It's not in the chart, but it's something that I'm going to cover with you afterwards.